We've got Jeff Sorensen here as our guest today. And Jeff is the founder of breathARMY. His mission is to educate, inspire, and empower people to live to their true potential. He offers tools to break through the structures that hold us back from living and expressing that potential in the world. Jeff is certified in the Wim Hof method, as an advanced instructor, Oxygen Advantage also as an advanced instructor. I'm going to butcher this, Buteyko breathing and Naya integrative breathwork. He has studied classical and advanced Kundalini pranayama. He's a registered 500-hour yoga teacher and is a smart body, smart mind, nervous system apprentice. Jeff is an international best-selling author, a paramedic, and resides in Kelowna. He's also the lead facilitator and leads integration for Entheotech, which is also in Kelowna. So thank you for being here today, Jeff. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
This is going to be such a great experiential thing. But before we get into that, you have a lot of certifications. It's impressive. So tell all of us, how did you get interested in all these different modalities and interested in psychedelics, and how do you intertwine?
Well, really, between all the modalities that you described, all these certifications along with psychedelics, I would really say that saved my life and has taken me from a place of really hard drug addiction and mental health issues. And at one point in my life, I found yoga, and that provided a lifeline that pulled me out of that addiction and helped me to heal the issues that were leading to mental health issues. And just one thing led to another, and eventually decided that I wanted to become a breathing expert, just because of my own experiences and deepening of my connection to the breath and recognizing the value and impact that had in my life. And so I spent a number of years traveling around the world and learning all of these different modalities and learning from the people that I considered to be the most highly trained in the world. And I really wanted to put that together in a unique and creative way. And because psychedelics have also had such a huge impact and being such a key piece of my own healing, all of those modalities have kind of woven together over the years and into this unique offering of breathARMY and into the work that I do with Entheotech here in Kelowna.
Now, breathwork is often used around psychedelics. You know, a lot of people have done the Groff legacy work and Stanislav Grof, and that's quite common to see that integrated with psychedelic therapies or getting people ready for psychedelic therapies. How have you seen the other ones? How do you feel like, for instance, like Wim Hof and Oxygen Advantage? How does that fit in?
You know, what I really saw when I entered into the world of breath work was it was quite siloed, and there's these different schools of breath work, holotropic being one of them, and Wim Hof method and Buteyko breathing, and all of these other modalities in between. And they weren't really talking to each other. And I think at that point, about 5 to 10 years ago, there's a number of people kind of looking at it in the same way that I was and wondering why there wasn't more connection and why people weren't addressing different issues with different techniques. So there was a lot of trying to use one particular technique to cure everything. And that was a panacea, and that was the only tool that we needed. Whereas when I looked at it, I saw that there was many different tools, and that I wanted to learn all of them so that I could use them in a more prescriptive manner and use the appropriate tool for an appropriate situation. And so I think when I look at using breath work in terms of psychedelic assisted therapies, I think there's a couple of different perspectives that we can take on that. And there's kind of the traditional one of utilizing breath work to create non-ordinary states of reality in a similar way that we would with psychedelics, but doing that in a voluntary way and in a way that the person engaged in the technique can really finely titrate that experience. And yet what I also see is the underlying breathing dysfunction being one of the core issues that leads to many of the conditions that we deal with in psychedelic assisted therapy. And so using other tools like Buteyko breathing technique and oxygen advantage and understanding the fundamentals of functional breathing is really, really important to help people regulate their nervous system and just regulate the chemistry and all these other systems in their body. And breathing is one of these processes in the body that many other processes are watching and attaching to. And when the breathing is regulated, then that helps to regulate so many different processes in the body. So I kind of look at it from both of those perspectives. And I think that there's maybe more potential than has been traditionally seen by just using it as a tool to create these non-ordinary states of reality that were traditionally associated with it.
I love that non-prescriptive, that looking at each person as who they are and seeing what is for them as opposed to following a recipe. So for people that have just joined in, what we're going to do today with Jeffrey is Jeffrey's going to run through some slides and bring us up to speed on the techniques. And then we're going to have an experiential session that will follow. And after that, we'll have some space for some questions and answers. So what I'll do is we'll jump right in. We'll give the screen over here to you, Jeffrey, to take us through your slides, and then you can coach us through getting ready for the experience.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right. Go. Can everybody see that? Yeah, good. So I often like to start with a quote, and I think this one really applies to both psychedelics and breathwork and why these are such powerful tools. And it's an Einstein quote that we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking that we used when we created them. And I think that really applies to this idea of creating non-ordinary states of reality and the healing potential within them. And when I look at applications of breathwork in psychedelic assisted therapy, really I feel like it applies to both the preparation of the session we can use it as a tool for voluntary introduction to non-ordinary states of reality and mystical experiences, and can also be a really powerful tool from that second perspective that I mentioned, in order to really help calm and regulate the nervous system prior to a session. And during a session, again, we can really use the breath as a resource to come back into the body and help to create a sense of safety as people journey through their session. And I'll often refer to breathing and connection to the breath as our greatest resource. And those familiar with somatic therapies will be familiar with this idea of resources and the idea of using different tools to be able to help to regulate our nervous system. And to me, the breath is the ultimate resource, because it doesn't matter where we go or what we do, we always have this connection to the breath. And another way that I'll often refer to it is as an anchor. And I think in terms of psychedelic assisted therapies, most of the people on here will be familiar with the benefits of having the breath and having a breath practice prior to a session and during a psychedelic session, as a very powerful way to help to anchor ourselves when we are going through challenging experiences in those sessions. So it can be really relevant to the actual dosing session, and then is also such a powerful tool post dosing session and in integration, to give people the ability to voluntarily, again, on their own, be able to recreate non-ordinary states of reality and mystical experiences, and continue their healing on many different levels within the body. So for conscious connected breathing, there's so many different benefits, but just to kind of go over some of the benefits and then to talk a little bit about how this overlaps with psychedelics. Conscious connected breathing has traditionally been used as a tool to help to release emotional and procedural memories from the body and mind. And release holding patterns of the respiratory system. And when we look at trauma, one of the first systems of the body to be affected is the breath. And so when the breath is affected and we hold the breath back, our breath being the life force within our body, then we often start to develop these patterns of holding back our respiratory system and either having very dysregulated breathing or having periods of apnea within our breath in which we're not breathing, and really become very disconnected with the primary muscle of respiration, which is, of course, the diaphragm. And so in engaging in these deep breathing techniques through conscious connected breathing, and that would include techniques such as holotropic breathing, some of the other traditional types of conscious connected breathing, whether that be transformational breath or rebirthing. Wim Hof breathing, I would put in that category as well. We can start to release the holding patterns of the respiratory system. And as we do that, then we start to create more regulation in the body. One of the really interesting things that's come up in the very little bit of study that's been done into conscious connected breathing and what's going on in the brain and in the body as we engage in these different techniques is alteration of the default mode network. And I'm going to guess that most people on this call probably have a sense or an idea of the functioning of the default mode network and how that applies to our sense of self and our sense of identity, and how that can become dysregulated as well, and can relate to many of the different conditions that we treat with psychedelics. And so conscious connected breathing has been shown to be able to quieten the default mode network, and in that way has been able to create these shifts in perception and shifts in perspective that can be really helpful for people. And in a similar way to psychedelics, those shifts in perspective and perception can really help one to just gain a little bit of perspective on these different events that may have been very challenging and led to some of the conditions that they're experiencing. So again, there has not been a huge amount of scientific study done on conscious connected breathing, but the little bit that has been done has shown that it is a very reliable and actually perhaps more reliable way to create non-ordinary states of reality and mystical experiences, and even more effective than is our psychedelics, which is really, really fascinating. And the ability to be able to do that voluntarily without ingesting any substances is really powerful tool that we can offer our patients that are seeking psychedelic therapies, and can really work well in conjunction with those therapies as well. Another really big piece of what breathwork does and why it's such a helpful tool is it really helps to balance the chemistry of the body. And so in terms of balancing the neurochemistry of the brain, there's been studies that have shown that it can be very helpful in balancing chemistry in the brain, and can also help us to regulate our endogenous opioid and cannabinoid systems as well. And so that can be really effective in both dealing with mood and also in dealing with conditions associated with pain as well. So that chemistry balancing piece is really, really powerful. And again, to be able to do that autonomously and voluntarily really can give patients a really powerful tool that they can take with them anywhere that they go. And so I'd like to think about this idea of psychological and physiological flexibility. And I think when we look at psychedelic experiences and changing perspective and really creating these non-ordinary states of reality, I like to think of that as a tool to expand the window of capacity within our brain and within our mind to encompass different perspectives that maybe we wouldn't see from our ordinary state of reality. And similarly, when we engage in these different deep breathing techniques, one of my favorite things that I'll often say in workshops and retreats is every time you change the way you breathe, you change the way that you feel. And because it has such a dramatic impact on the physiology of our body and many different systems of our body, the changes that it creates aren't necessarily changes that we want to see long-term, but having temporary shifts in the physiology and different systems of the body helps us to become more flexible and more adaptable. And I think in a time where resiliency is so important and people are looking for tools to create more resiliency, any kind of tools that we can access so easily and can help to create that degree of flexibility and increasing capacity and having a positive correlation to increasing resiliency is something really worth taking the time to look at and see how we can share that with the people that we're working with. Because of the way that it shifts the chemistry in the body, it often creates these euphoric or ecstatic states within the body. And so by increasing levels of different neurotransmitters, as well as increasing these levels of endogenous opioids and cannabinoids, we create these ecstatic states. And I have a personal belief that creating these ecstatic states or states of euphoria within our life and having tools that we can easily create those states is really important for helping us to remember why it is that we're here on this planet. And if we're always in these states of being stressed out and really being challenged in our life, it can very quickly start to feel overwhelming. And so to be able to quickly, easily, and reliably create ecstatic states and balance the chemistry in our body and our brain, again, is such a powerful tool that we can resource. And when we create these deep, deep experiences that we'll often go into within our breathing sessions, we can resource those states and come back to that sense of euphoria that we may have felt during that breathing session. And we can resource that when we're going through different points in our life that feel more challenging. So being able to resource that is really, really helpful. So an interesting piece that came out of the study that was done on conscious connected breathing was that there was a change in brainwave patterns. And one of the signatures of DMT release that has been observed through psychedelic use is this suppression of alpha waves and stimulation of gamma waves in the brain. And in this study that they did on conscious connected breathing, there's actually two of them that were done. One was done by a fellow named Jeff Terrell and utilizing soma breathing techniques, and another one was done by the creators of a documentary called DMT Quest, in which they did a little bit of study on the Wim Hof method. And in both of those, they found that there was this alpha wave suppression and gamma wave stimulation, which is correlated with DMT consumption or use as a psychedelic. And so then that really brings on this question that's kind of been floating around in the breathwork world for a long time. And a lot of people will claim that breathwork creates these states of DMT production, but we've never been able to actually prove it scientifically. And while anecdotally, I could certainly say that my experiences have been very similar to DMT psychedelic states, to know that the brainwave states actually support that could be the case is really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see the further study that's done on that as well. So if we want to look at the correlations between breathwork and psychedelics, I think one of the big ones that comes to mind is just this change in perspective. And being one of the characteristics of non-ordinary states of reality, the shift in perspective, I think both of these are really powerful tools that we can harness and really work well together to create these changes in perspective that can be so helpful in renegotiating and reframing different events in our lives that may be holding us back from being able to live to our true potential. And so another piece of that is this alteration of the default mode network. And I think there's still a lot to be understood about exactly how the default mode network works, but there definitely seems to be in both of these different modalities a similar alteration of the default mode network, and in general a quietening down of that kind of ruminating sense of creating this who I am in the world, how I fit into the world, this trying to place myself within present moment and to negotiate past events and how future events may play out. And so being able to quieten down that default mode network can be really, really helpful for those in which it's overactive, in which that's actually causing issues with how they interact with the world around them. This altered sense of self really plays into that as well. And then, of course, we've got this piece of being able to create these non-ordinary states of reality and these mystical type experiences in which we're really coming out of our small I sense of self and really coming into a larger sense of self and feeling a greater sense of connection to the rest of life and a deeper sense of love for both ourselves and for all of life. So both of these modalities are definitely powerful tools that we can harness to be able to produce those states. And again, both are really actively balancing the chemistry, both within the body and mind, and are really providing a helpful reset. And so many of the benefits that I've experienced in my own life with psychedelics and that I see in others is just having this opportunity to reset not just the default mode network, but just pressing this reset button on our life. And I find that same thing with a breathwork practice, having that as a daily practice, that it's helping to not just reset the mind, but the body as well, the chemistry of the body. And that can be a very powerful thing. So in words here of Wim Hof, get high on your own supply. And I think being able to really regulate the chemistry of our body and really create these euphoric and ecstatic experiences is such a beautiful and powerful tool that we all have access to, is literally right at the tip of our nose. So with that, I would love to go into a breathwork session, and I'll take a little bit of time to describe the breathing techniques that we're going to engage in. And just to let you know before I do that, so you can take some time to prepare if you need to, that we will be doing this session lying down. And so if you need to take a couple of moments to prepare your space while I go through the instructions, then please take the time to do that. Sometimes it's also nice to have a blanket or a bolster, and using the bolster underneath the knees. And because every time we change the way that we breathe and change the way that we feel, often that can lead to changes in temperature in the body as well as we engage in the breathing. So sometimes it's nice to have a blanket at hand as well. So these breathing techniques that we're going to use today are suitable for anybody over the age of 18 years, provided that you don't have any pre-existing medical or mental conditions. And of course, if you have any pre-existing conditions, you would want to check in with your doctor before engaging in these techniques, especially people who have cardiovascular issues, who have any type of history with epilepsy, and anybody out there who might be pregnant. We will be doing some breath holding in our breathing session today. And breath holding is not recommended for anybody who might be pregnant. And so when I cue breath holds, please just come back to breathing in and out through your nose. One of the beautiful things about breath work is that we can very finely titrate this experience. And so unlike ingesting a psychedelic, when we create these shifts in perspective and create these different states of reality that we experience during breath work, we can very quickly bring ourselves back to our ordinary state of reality. And when we're starting to feel different sensations in the body or changes in mental state, one of the beautiful things is that we can come back to breathing in and out through the nose at any time, and whatever we're experiencing will subside and we'll come back towards our ordinary state of reality very quickly. And so that option is always there for you if you start to feel uncomfortable with anything that you're experiencing. So we will engage in two different types of breathing today, and we'll start out with breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we'll start with a big, deep, full breath in. And a big, deep, full breath in starts down at the pelvic floor. And so we want to allow our pelvic floor to expand so that the diaphragm, which lines the lower row of ribs, can really push down against the abdominal contents, and then it gives the abdominal contents somewhere to go, and it fills up that pelvic bowl. So when we're breathing in, we want to allow the belly to expand out like a balloon. And we also want to breathe into the lower back and into the lower ribs. And so we want to feel our lower ribs expanding out towards the sides as we breathe in. And we roll the breath up into the chest, into the upper back, and we can breathe in all the way up underneath the collarbones into the uppermost lobes of the lungs. And we really want to leave the neck and the shoulders soft as we breathe. So our diaphragm, primary muscle of respiration, is doing all the work. And with each breath in, we feel it push down towards the hips. We feel that expansion in the belly. And with each breath out, we feel it relax back up underneath the ribs. So we'll take a deep, full breath in through the nose and a soft breath out through the mouth. So that's going to look like this. So we'll be doing a number of different rounds of breathing, and we'll be doing some breath holding in between rounds. And James, maybe this would be a good point where you could copy that playlist link into the chat. I like to breathe with music, so I've got a Spotify playlist created. If you do have a Spotify account, a paid account, then you'll be able to listen along to that playlist. And that helps to deepen the experience. And if not, then of course doing it in silence with just ambient noise around you is totally fine as well. Or you could just put some of your favorite music on in the background too. So deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're going to start out with that. And then eventually we'll transition into breathing in and out through an open mouth. So this is a classic form of conscious connected breathing in which we open the jaw wide enough that we could place our thumb in between our teeth like this. And we're breathing in and out of the back of the throat as opposed to breathing in and out through the lips. So we're breathing in and out of the back of the throat, and that kind of makes the sound like we're fogging up a mirror on the inhalation and the exhalation. But there's no constriction or restriction of the breath in the throat. That's simply the sound of the breath flowing in and out. And so that breath is a little bit softer. We call that one breath of surrender. And so we're getting that same expansion down in the belly and blowing the belly up like a balloon. We're still breathing into these lower ribs down here. And we're breathing up until about the heart. So we're not trying to breathe it in all the way up underneath the collarbones. We breathe from the belly to the heart, and then we let the breath go with the same nice soft exhalation. When we're breathing out, I like to think about our lungs being like balloons. So they're made out of an elastic material. When we breathe in, those balloons, that elastic material expands and stretches out. I like to think about our mouth being like the fingers on the neck of a balloon holding the air in. And so when we open our mouth and let the breath go, it's just like releasing the fingers on the neck of that balloon, and the breath flows out all on its own. We don't actually have to push the breath out or force it out. We just open the mouth, let it go, and we don't have to breathe all the breath out. We just come into another inhalation as the pressure comes off. We go into the next inhalation, top of the inhalation leads into the next exhalation. These are both circular breathing techniques where the inhale leads into the exhale and vice versa. So that breathing technique would look like this. And so the invitation will be there to speed it up or to slow it down at different points. And of course, you are in complete control of your experience, so you are free to do as you wish, and everything that I offer is just an invitation. So like I said, we'll be doing some breath holding in between the rounds of breathing. So we'll be holding the breath out of the body, and we'll be holding the breath in the body. For many people, holding the breath out of the body is a new sensation. And as with all the sensations that you experience in your breathing journey, I really encourage you to take the witness perspective, where you are just observing what's going on, and you are releasing the need to intellectualize or create any stories or kind of go off into any stories about what you're experiencing. Trust your body, trust your physiology. Know that the very worst thing that could happen is if you tried to hold your breath out for too long and you pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and kept holding, then eventually you would pass out and then you would take a breath in. So no big deal when you're doing this lying on your yoga mat. That does become an issue if you were using these techniques to extend your breath hold time underwater. And of course, we wouldn't want to do that, and we wouldn't ever want to engage in these breathing techniques in any other position than lying down on a yoga mat or lying down on a bed or a couch or somewhere nice and soft. So we can experience many different sensations as we change the way that we breathe, and we can experience changes in temperature, like I mentioned before. We can feel really, really heavy in our body. We can feel really, really light. You might start to feel numbness or tingling in your extremities, your hands, your face, your feet. And these things are totally normal. As we change the way we breathe, we change the way that we feel. We'll be changing the way that we breathe a number of times. And I encourage you just to be in your body and feel and experience these shifts and changes. So with that, I think we're ready to come into our lying down position wherever you are. I'm going to get my playlist ready here to listen along with you if you're going to listen. And I'll let you know when I start mine here. So we're going to start down on our backs, and we're just going to take a moment to tune in down on our backs. So I am going to start my playlist here now, if you're going to listen along. And I'll take a moment just to settle in on the back. And allow yourself to arrive on your back, in your space, in your body. Feel into your body. Start to let go of your mind. Start to let go of your thoughts. And start to come into the felt sense of your experience, the felt sense of your body. You can start down at your toes and just start to scan through the body, coming up through the legs and the torso, the hands and the arms, the neck and the head, and just become more aware of sensations that may be present within the body. Be aware of tightness or tension, stress within the body. You notice that you're holding your body, you're bracing within your body. Because you're lying down and because your body is supported, you can release that bracing, you can release that holding. You can release any tension in the body. Allow your body to fully relax. And just breathing in and out through the nose at this point. A soft, gentle breath. As we do so, we're deepening the connection to the body. Releasing tension. And also bringing more awareness to the breath. Just noticing how the breath flows in and out of the body. Noticing the parts of the body that open and expand with the breath in. Noticing the parts of the body that soften and relax with the breath out. And as you breathe in, you may feel a sense of lightness and buoyancy with the inhalation, sense of suspension, and like the sand on the beach as the wave comes in, it kind of lifts that sand up. So it's suspended in the water, and as the water flows back out, consolidates. You may feel that sense of consolidation within your body. At this point, if you'd like to deepen your breath, you can start to breathe down a little bit lower in the body. Maybe you have a hand on your belly and a hand on the chest. Start to feel a sense of expansion in the belly as you breathe in, expanding into the lower back, the lower ribs. Feeling the lowest sets of ribs pushing out towards the sides with your breath in, and bringing the back breath up through the back, the middle back, upper back, space in between the shoulder blades, and into the entire rib cage as you breathe into the chest, into the heart, up underneath the collarbones. And let your breath flow out with a nice soft exhale out through the mouth. So big, deep, full breath in through the nose. Soft breath out through the mouth. We're starting to find a circular connected breath here. So as the breath flows in and we come to the top of our inhalation, there's no holding, no stopping. No pausing, we just flow into our exhalation. The exhalation flows out all on its own, so we don't have to do anything to push or force it out. We simply open the mouth, let the breath go, let it flow out. As the pressure comes off and we come down towards the bottom of our exhalation, we simply flow into the next inhalation. Seeing if you can open and deepen your breath with each breath in. Opening the breath, opening to life and knowing that it's safe to breathe, safe to feel shifts and changes in your body. Knowing feeling changes in sensation as you breathe is normal, to be expected. And we're going to breathe for about another 30 seconds before we do our first breath retention. If you'd like to synchronize your breath with everybody else, we can synchronize with an exhalation, exhaling fully, and then breathing fully in and letting go. Fully in and let it go. Fully in, let it go. 3 more, let it go. 2 more, let it go. Last one in, all the way in, and then we're going to let the breath go, and we're going to hold the breath out. And know that you're free to breathe at any time if you need to, but otherwise, sink into your breath retention and hold the breath out of the body. Sink into your body, let go of your mind, let go of your thoughts, and feel into the body. Hold out for a little bit longer if you can. And then we'll take a deep, full breath in. We're going to hold it at the top. Holding the breath in, feeling the changes in sensation. Hold the breath in the body. And then let's let the breath go, and we'll go into another round of breathing. So breathing in through the nose, full breath in, soft breath out, lets the breath go. Fully in and letting go. Beautiful breath. Find your circular connected breath, where your inhale flows into your exhale, and your exhalation flows into your inhalation. Feel into your body. Come into the felt sense of your experience. Feel the sensations in your body. Feel the breath flowing in, opening up, expanding. Feel the breath flowing out, releasing, relaxing with each breath out. Noticing the sensation, notice the points of contact between your body and the surface beneath you. Keep your awareness in your body. Flowing with your beautiful breath, opening your breath, opening to life. Knowing that it's safe to breathe, and it's safe to feel. So we change the way that we breathe, that can start to stir up some energy and emotions within the body. Know that that's normal. And that we can simply come back to our breath and allow those to pass. Sometimes they pass simply with the breath. Other times it's nice to bring the body into some movement. Just allow the body to move organically. Sometimes the knees like to roll from side to side, or the head rolls from side to side. We can just let our body move in whatever way feels good to us. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to intellectualize it. Just simply let the body move. Sometimes it feels good to actually shake it out or wiggle it out. Move some of the energy in the body actively. And in either case, we always come back to the breath. And again, for our last 30 seconds, we can synchronize our breath with an exhalation and breathe fully in. Let it go. Fully in, letting go. Fully in, letting go. 3 more, let it go. 2 more, let it go. Last breath in, fully in, all the way in. Let it go and hold it out. Relax your body. Feel into your body. Soften your body. Could you relax your body a little bit more? Good. You can all take a big breath in together. Breathing in fully. Hold the breath at the top. Feel the breath in your body. Feel your whole body full of breath, full of life. And then let the breath go, and we're going to do 1 more round, in through the nose and out through the mouth. So breathing fully in, feeling that expansion rising up from the pelvic floor all the way up through the rib cage, right up to underneath the collarbones. Filling the lungs, opening the heart, and letting go with a soft breath out. No pushing, no forcing, beautiful fluid breath flowing in and out. Good. Keep going. Each breath in, Observing, could you breathe a little bit deeper? Could you breathe more fully? Is there somewhere in your body where you don't normally breathe, where you could allow your breath to flow? With your exhalation, do you observe any holding on, any clinging, any trying to control that exhalation? Could you simply surrender the exhale as it flows out? Find that circular breath, beautiful breath, connecting to our life force, opening and allowing that life force to flow into the body with each breath in, relaxing and softening the body with each breath out. Knowing that at any point you can always slow your breath down. You can always soften your breath. You can always bring your breath back in and out through the nose. And that the sensations that you feel subside. You can always catch up with us at any point. As you continue to breathe, can you keep your awareness in your body? Can you stay connected to the felt sense of your body? Can you feel the sensations in your body, and can you breathe into them? Sense of numbness or tingling, feel in your extremities. Perhaps you feel energy flowing through your body. And you simply just breathe with that. And we'll breathe for another 30 seconds to finish off this round. You can synchronize with an exhale and breathe fully in. Let it go. Fully in. Letting go. Fully in. Let it go. 3 more. Let it go. 2 more. Let it go. Last one in, all the way in. Let it go. Hold it out. Relax. Sinking into the body. Softening your body. Good. Let's take a big breath in, breathing fully in, holding the breath at the top. Feel the breath in your body, feel that life force, feel the energy in your body from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. Let the breath go. This is the last round, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You might like to speed this round up. If you feel good in your body, if you feel safe in your body, you can maintain those same breathing mechanics of expanding the belly, expanding the ribs, and rolling the breath up into your chest. Maybe you like to speed it up and deepen it a little bit. Want to keep the exhalation soft. No forcing, no pushing, no holding, no controlling that exhale. Simply open the mouth, let the breath flow out, all on its own. Beautiful breath. Keep flowing. Keep feeling. Keep connected to the body. Feel your body. Feel your breath. Open your breath. Open your body. Open your heart. Let yourself feel. Give yourself permission to feel. Connect with this beautiful body. Connecting to the system that sustains life within you. Open it up. Breathe in life. Open to life. Saying yes to life. Good. Last 30 seconds here of this round. In, we can synchronize with an exhale. Breathe fully in. Let it go. Fully in. Letting go. Fully in. Let it go. 3 more. Let it go. 2 more. Let it go. Last one in, all the way in. Let the breath out, hold it out, and relax your body. Sink in and feel. Be in your body. And we can take a big, full, deep breath in. Hold it at the top. Feel the energy in your body. Soles of your feet to the top of your head. Feel the breath in your body. Feel the life force in your body. This time when we let the breath go, we're going to do so with a lion's breath. So we're going to stretch open the jaw, stick out the tongue, let the breath go with a roar. Maybe you like to wiggle out your body as you do that. Do that a couple of times. So take a big breath in. Stick out the tongue, stretch open the jaw, wiggle out the body. Do that one more time. And then we're going to come into breathing in and out through an open mouth. So we open the jaw wide, wide enough that we can place our thumb in between our teeth. And we start to breathe in and out of the back of the throat. Breath makes a sound as it flows in and out, but there's no constriction in the back of the throat. We breathe into the belly, into the ribs, and into the heart, but we don't need to bring the breath all the way up underneath the collarbones. We breathe from the belly to the heart, and we let the breath go. A soft, surrendered exhalation. We don't push it out, we don't force it out. We let the breath fall out. And when the pressure comes off, we come into the next inhale. At the top of our inhalation, crest over into the exhalation. Flow with our breath, our beautiful breath. Sometimes as we open up the jaw and start to breathe in and out through an open mouth, we can stir up energy and emotions in the body. Know that that's normal. And know that we can allow those to move out of the body. Can move them out and let them flow out with the breath. We can use some lion's breath. We can release tension and stress from the body by stretching open the jaw, sticking out the tongue. We can move the body. We can wiggle out the body, shake out the arms and the legs. Sometimes it even feels nice to stomp the feet on the floor, smack the hands. Call this the adult temper tantrum. Give yourself the opportunity to release energy, emotions in the body that you've been holding on to that don't serve you. Allow yourself this opportunity to release that which no longer serves you. Allow yourself this opportunity to connect with your breath. Your beautiful breath. Breathing into the belly and breathing into the heart. Could you open your heart? To allow yourself to feel more deeply into your body, into the felt sense of your experience. Letting go of patterns of holding within the breath. Letting go of patterns that don't serve you in your life. Patterns of interacting with the world. Maybe at one point help to keep you alive. But at this point in your life, simply hold you back from being who you came here to be. I'm going to breathe for about another 3 or 4 minutes here. At this point, if you'd like to deepen your breath, you could take a deeper, fuller breath in and breathe up all the way underneath the collarbones. And you could breathe your breath all the way out and push it out all the way to the bottom. Breathing in, fully opening up and deepening the breath. Exhaling, pushing it out, squeezing it out, blowing it out, and with it, blowing out anything that you don't need, anything that doesn't serve you. You can do another couple of breaths like that. And then after your next breath in, come into some movement in your body. Wiggle out your arms, wiggle out your legs. Maybe you use that lion's breath. Stretch open your jaw, stick out your tongue, let the breath go with a roar. When you're done, come back to a soft breath in and out through the mouth. Finish off with another couple of minutes of breathing. Soft breath in, soft breath out. Beautiful. What could you release that holds you back in your life? What if you could let that go right now, just with your breath, or through moving your body? In the last minute or so here, again, maybe you'd like to deepen your breath a little bit more. Taking a deeper, fuller breath in, and a fuller, deeper breath out, blowing it out, emptying out. Couple more just like that, fully in, all the way out. Maybe you'd like to use some more movement. Maybe you'd like to use some more lion's breath. Wherever you're at, we'll take a few more breaths. We're going to come into one last final breath retention. So take another couple of breaths. And one last deep, full breath in, all the way up to the top. Biggest breath of the day. Fill right up. And let your breath go and hold your breath out as long as you like here. Sinking into the body. Holding the breath out as long as you can comfortably. Sinking into the body, out of the mind. You sink all the way into the core of who you are, beyond your mind, beyond your body, your thoughts, beyond emotions and sensation. Reconnecting to that essence, divine spark, the center of who you are. And you do need to breathe in. You can breathe in with a big, deep, full breath and hold it at the top for about 15-20 seconds. Encourage you to breathe light into your body. Fill your body full of light, full of energy. And feel that light in your body from the soles of your feet to the top of your head, circulating within every cell of your body. You hold your breath in, come back to breathing in and out through the nose with a soft, gentle breath. Notice how softly and how gently you can breathe. Notice how slowly you can breathe. Slowly in your own time, and start to wake the body back up. Start to make some soft, gentle movements in the fingers and the toes. Maybe you'd like to stretch your arms above your head, stretch your legs long. To bring your knees in towards your chest and just give yourself a gentle rock from side to side. And eventually you could come over onto one side. Just take a moment on your side. Being here, reconnecting to that core, that essence of your being. Bringing that up with you as you come back up into a seated position to finish off. And in your seated position, you might just like to take a moment just to leave the gaze soft or leave the eyes closed. Just allow your body to reorient to the seated position. Staying connected to the breath, any sensations within the body, and feeling all the points of contact in between your body and the surface beneath you. As you open your eyes, can utilize your vision as a tool to anchor yourself back into the space. Just finding an object in your space that you can gently hold with your gaze. Feeling your body, feeling your breath, feeling that connection. And I thank you for joining me here and sharing your breath practice with me. I would love to open it up to any questions that you may have, or hear any of your comments, experience, anything you'd like to share.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Welcome.
Yes, energized and relaxed at the same time. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll return gently here with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few more minutes with you. And there are some questions. So let me read out the questions. Is conscious connected breathing the present umbrella term for all these different types of breathing modalities?
Yeah, so to me, conscious connected breathing encompasses anything where we are creating this conscious connection between the inhalation and the exhalation, and we're removing any pausing or holding between the two. And we're just bringing this conscious awareness to the patterning of the breath and bringing our breath into these specific patterns. So it would encompass everything from holotropic breathing to transformational breathing, birthing breath, integrated breath work, pneuma breath work, breath wave, many different schools. Wim Hof method, like I said, we consider that a form of conscious connected breathing. So many different styles, and those different styles can be more or less appropriate for specific groups of people, depending on how well they deal with activation in the body, nervous system. So yeah, we can use some of these different tools in an intelligent way to help people access these deeper states.
Doug also asks, you have mentioned balanced brain chemistry a few times. Is this different from altering brain chemistry, or does it actually bring a person back to some normative, healthy state? For example, can it be used to help people get off of prescription medications, etc., balance them?
So I don't know that there's enough evidence to make a statement like that we could bring people off of medications, but we certainly do have evidence to support that it does actually help to balance out some of these systems within the body, like the endogenous production of opioids, endogenous production of cannabinoids. And we know that when those systems are not functioning well or are dysregulated, then that can cause lots of issues within the body. And then there's also evidence to support that it does help to balance the neurotransmitters in the body as well. So how that relates to bringing people off of medications, I couldn't say, but there's definitely some interesting research that would support that it does help to actually balance things out.
Charmaine asks, I'm curious how you would describe trauma-informed breathwork. I've been to sessions where nearly 50 people were present. As a trauma-informed therapist, as well as a trauma survivor, it was very triggering and uncomfortable listening to others screaming and banging on the floor, which was encouraged by the facilitator. He then had his helpers come around placing their hands on your body to help for releases, which was further traumatizing to be touched by a stranger in this state, even with them asking, as if it felt like one had no choice. I realize this may be part of some breathwork techniques. My thoughts are that breathwork is best done in smaller groups or individually. What do you think?
I think for somebody who has had a lot of trauma, I think doing it individually or doing it in a really small group could be really helpful. And I also really strongly believe in healing in community and healing in groups and coming together in groups of people, being in a circle, being heard within a circle, sharing our experience within a circle. And I think in terms of the tools that you mentioned, which are some of the same tools that I offered you in your session here today, which is to move the body and release some energy from the body in that way. I think maybe mentally preparing people for that can be helpful in terms of touch. In a breathwork session, that's something that I always address before I do it, and always give people the option and give them a signal that they can indicate that they're not wanting touch. So I think that that's really important to include. And yeah, I think that there's incredible healing potential, and obviously that's not going to extend to every person with every type of condition. And so, like I said in the beginning, I think if somebody has had a lot of trauma and finds it really triggering to be around other people, then certainly doing it in smaller groups could be the way to go. But I see huge potential and have seen huge potential in both ways. But I really love the group settings, and doing that together can really create a lot of positive energy and a lot of healing as well. So I do both, and I recommend both, but it really depends on where you're at.
Not prescriptive.
Absolutely.
Not prescriptive.
We're all unique individuals with unique nervous systems and unique reactions and interactions with the world. So whatever works best for each of us is the right way to go.
Mhm.
It's really hard to say what that is until we go through these different experiences.
John asks, when you talked about resetting the body's chemistry, could you tell me what you mean more specifically?
So we talked about endogenous cannabinoids and opioids, and then we also talked a little about neurotransmitters, so dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. It can help us to increase the window of tolerance as to how our body manages adrenaline release within the body. So as we come into more activating forms of breath work, we can learn to stay connected and stay relaxed even within an activated state. So we help to increase that window of tolerance, which can extend to many different areas of our life and can be a really handy tool to bring into our life. Having a basic understanding of functional breathing is one of the most powerful ways to shift the chemistry of our body. And breathing itself as a process in the body is the primary method of regulating pH within the body. So actually regulating the pH and knowing about the interaction of oxygen and carbon dioxide and how those two play together to regulate the pH can be incredibly empowering, because pH, all of the processes of the body are dependent on pH being within a specific range. Understanding how the behavior of breathing affects that pH is really, really powerful, and more than we have time to go into in this discussion. There is a free resource on my website that goes into that a little bit more. James said he was going to copy that link in. And if you go on there, you can sign up for the free video series, and then there's also the free Sunday breathwork sessions that I do, similar to what we just did, that you get signed up for those as well. But there's so much to it, and it is quite simple, but there's a little bit to understand about that interplay of oxygen and carbon dioxide and how that affects pH. And once we understand those fundamentals, we really become empowered to, as Wim Hof would say, become the alchemist of our body. And I think when we learn to become the alchemist of our body and our mind, then we really start to become the alchemist of our life as well, and we can shift and change the way that we interact with the world around us.
I feel like that's a great place to end, but there is one more question. So, I mean, that's quite ending on a great quote like that, but we do have one more question. And letting everyone know to, when the recording of this will be posted in about a week, and we'll have all of Jeff's show notes, his links, his website, all of that will be there so that you can watch it again, experience it again, and look at those resources. Additionally, it sounds like Jeffrey's going to start doing a session within the CPA membership site. So if you're already a member, you'll see that under events in the near future. And the final question here is, I did a lot of rebirthing work in the 70s and 80s and found that after a while, I stopped getting any of the phenomena of muscle cramping, emotional and physical releases, etc., even altered states per se. Is this a common outcome of doing a lot of this kind of work, or does it mean I need to change the breathing style or pace or something?
The body is such an incredible machine, Doug, and so the body will adapt to many different conditions, whether those conditions are supportive or not supportive of good health. The body is so incredibly adaptable, and so when we engage in these different techniques over time, the body will start to learn how to adapt to that. And that's where I think having many different breathing practices in our arsenal can be really helpful. And so, just like you said, in changing the style of breathing and changing the pace of the breathing, then we can kind of shift things in a little bit different direction, and again, kind of throw the body off a little bit and cause it to create more adaptability and further expand that window of flexibility. And we can elicit these different responses or releases that we might be looking for. So those free sessions that I do that'll now be available through the CPA members network there, those are a great opportunity to try out many different styles of breathing, and there's many different facilitators that come on there and share different techniques. So that could be a good way to dive back into your breathwork practice.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. We really appreciate you coming here and sharing your wealth of knowledge and doing the demonstration. It's wonderful. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you for working with patients and doing all this and making the world a better place. Like I said, this recording will be available in about a week's time with all the show notes. And if you're in the CPA membership site, you'll see the event show up with Jeffrey's breathwork sessions, or a few other sessions in there, some sound healing sessions, etc. So you can sample some stuff, but Jeffrey's will be in there shortly. The webinar ends abruptly, so I'm just going to say before I say that, thank you, Jeffrey, so much, and thank you everyone who joined. And when the video comes out, please share it with others so that others may have the benefit of seeing the work that Jeffrey is doing and has shared with us today. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Thanks so much for having me on. Wish everybody a wonderful evening. Or to see you again soon.